Welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm your host, Corey Graham. Join us here every Friday night at 8 p.m. or listen anytime via podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, to name just a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where the independent new authors come first. The new book I'm looking at right now, written by Cindy Lloyd, is a thrilling fantasy adventure titled Eternia, The Power Within. And Cindy is sitting down with me now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, and we get to talk all about it. Cindy, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Cindy, can you tell me all about Eternia, The Power Within? Well, what readers are going to find here?
Well, they're going to find a book that encompasses light and dark and the balance that they create. The world is in an upheaval with drought ruining the land because the two stones that are meant to be together have been separated. And Tanea, who is the heroine of the book, must go on a journey to find the other stone to bring balance back to the world.
Cindy, what sorts of readers do you think would be really into this?
The target audience is girls 11 to 15. I wrote it for my granddaughters and my daughter, basically for the women in my life.
Yeah, I'm curious how this came about. How'd that idea come to you?
Well, you're going to think this is a little strange, but I had a dream. And the book was laid out in a dream, and I knew I had to get it down on paper, so it's been a work in progress.
So have you ever done anything like this before, or is this all kind of new ground for you?
This is all new ground. I've never written anything in my life before, so this is all new and exciting, actually.
That is exciting. Was this a long journey then overall, the writing and publishing, everything?
Yes, it's been a long journey, but it's been very rewarding. And it's very cathartic.
So what is the most rewarding aspect of this all for you?
I think the most rewarding aspect of it is I'm able to showcase young girls in a strong light. Basically, I wanted my granddaughters and my daughter to know that you're never too old to reach for a dream and achieve it.
So once you had your manuscript ready and started working with your publisher, Christian Faith, Cindy, what was the most challenging part of that whole publishing end of things for you?
The editing. The constant editing was quite challenging, but we got through it, and I think we produced something wonderful.
Absolutely. There's nothing like seeing that finished product. So whenever that first copy came in and you were holding Eternia for that first time, Cindy, what was that moment like for you?
It was absolutely thrilling. It was thrilling and exciting. And when I opened the box and the books were in there and I saw my name on the cover, it was a dream come to fruition and a lot of hard work, but a great reward.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and this is a great cover. It's so beautiful, Cindy. How did that all come about?
Well, in the book, there's things called darklings. And they'd had their light taken from them, but the only colors that you see are the color of their eyes. And each fairy has different colored eyes. And so the representation of the multiple colors of the fairy represent the darkling's eyes.
So looking ahead, Cindy, do you think you have more books in you? Maybe like a sequel to this of some sort or something else?
Yes, I'm working on the sequel right now.
How far along is that? Are you into it right now or just sort of formulating ideas?
I'm just starting. I'm trying to get my footing. I know where it's going to go. It's a 3-book series. So I know where it's going to end in the 3rd book. I have the ending. So it's a journey to get from the first book, weaving a story in through 2 to 3 books. And so I'm kind of nailing it down, you might say.
So do you use an outline, anything like that, or are you just kind of going with it as you go?
My son is a 6th grade English teacher, and he's helped me quite a bit. And I did write out an outline, but I find that inspiration strikes, and I go off the outline and veer off in a different direction. So I have an outline, but I don't necessarily stick solely to the outline.
Again, this book is titled Eternia, The Power Within. It's written by Cindy Lloyd, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Cindy, it's been wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about Eternia. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time you've taken to talk to me, and I hope the people out there enjoy the book as much as I did writing it.
I'm sitting down right now with author Tammy Martin here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Tammy, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Corey, for having me.
Well, the pleasure's all mine, Tammy, and you have a new book out called Tam the Turtle. I'm curious to learn all about this, Tammy. Can you tell me about it?
Well, it's about a turtle. She just doesn't think that she's special in any way. She feels like that she's a plain old box turtle. She sees her friends, she has two friends in the book. One is Blanche the butterfly and the other is Cletus the chameleon. And she notices how the butterfly has these beautiful wings. And the chameleon, he can transform himself to a different color to fit in no matter the situation that he's in. So she's kind of envious and a little bummed, too, because she wants to have one of those, what kids today would probably call a superpower, to get somebody's attention. And she wants to be in the spotlight some. But she just doesn't feel like she has the qualities, the characteristics to bring that to the table. So her friends kind of enlighten her about how she really is. And then she's shocked to hear that they think that of her, number one. Number two, she's never even thought of even looking at herself like that. And three, they said, we wish you could see what we see, because when we look at you, we see God. And what a awesome thing for someone to say to you when they look at you and they say, you know what, Tammy, I don't know that much about you, but when I see you, I see God. To me, that would be like the ultimate compliment. And I think that Tam the Turtle kind of realizes that in the book, and it changes her perspective of just how important she is and how wonderful it is that her friends see her that way. And most importantly, how God sees her.
Tammy, what sorts of readers do you think would connect with this the most?
I think the targeted readers would be from a small toddler, 1 or 2, all the way up to 10 or 11. I had a friend of mine read the book and she said, "Are you kidding me? I think this would be good for adults too." But I think that somewhere down deep, we all can relate to Tam the Turtle at one time or another. But my targeted group is from ages 2 to 10.
So how did it all come about, Tammy? Where did the idea for this come from?
Well, I have a little girl. She's 6 now, but we've had her since she was 24 days old, and we adopted her. And we have grown children and grandchildren. And at the age of 50, just a couple years ago, actually, Ellie said, "Mommy, read me a book." And I'm like, "All the books that you have here, we've already read." So she said, "Just make one up." So off the fly of my brain, I was trying to think of something to tell her. So I told her that story, and she said, "Mommy, that's really good." And so my husband heard it. He's like, "Yeah, that's a really good story." And he said, "You better write that down so that if she asks you to tell her that again, that you'll be able to tell her." And so I did. I wrote it down, and I just kind of put it in a notebook and put it up. And then I saw a commercial for Covenant Books, and I'm like, I wonder if other little kids would like this story too. So that's really how it came all about.
So do you have experience in doing this kind of thing, or are you treading on some new ground here?
This is new ground for me in writing a book. I write music. I write gospel songs and that, but I've never wrote a book per se. So writing is something that I'd like to do, but in a book, I've never done that till this project. And I've got to tell you, I've really enjoyed it.
Well, this book has such a great message. Again, it's titled Tam the Turtle. It's written by Tammy Martin, published by Covenant Books, and available at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Tammy, it's been really wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about this book. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
The new book by Regina Olasin is a collection of poems reflecting upon the natural world during pre-pandemic times. It's titled Words on Water, 2016 to 2020. And we're going to be finding out all about this book. The author, Regina, is here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Regina, welcome. I appreciate you being here tonight.
I'm delighted to be here and have the opportunity to talk about Words on Water.
Yeah, it's great to be talking with you and finding out about this, Regina. Can you tell me, what are readers going to find here?
Words on Water is, as you said, a collection. It's of my kind of musings during a daily ferry commute to New York City over a 4-year period. I considered it more prose than poetry. My daydreams, meanderings about my personal world, natural things, and worldwide politics and situations. As I assembled the pieces and looking at the 4-year time period, it seemed somewhat disjointed. So I added a narrative to the prose alongside of it to bring things together.
Regina, what sorts of readers do you think this would really connect with the most?
I think anyone who's ever looked out a window en route to work, daydreamed, processed sentiments, or, seen an amazing sunrise. And you sort of have these moments in time when you're in the moment and things go in and out of your head and then you move on. And I think that was a lot of what this was for me. It was those moments, and instead of the thoughts coming in and out of my head, they kind of came in, went down on my iPad, actually. And then the day went on, and the weeks went on, and as it turned out, the years went on.
So what was that spark? What inspired you to get this published?
I think curiosity to see if anyone else would be interested in reading this. I had always wanted to write creatively, and I had thought incorrectly that my professional daily documentation was writing. And as a physician, you write everything that happens in all of your exchanges, but really that type of documentation is not writing. And I kind of rapidly learned that. And in assembling my 4 years of prose collection, it was a real learning experience and kind of facilitated a transition from my previous life as a practicing physician to retirement, where I could look into learning about writing creatively and different types of writing.
Yeah, that's certainly a big switch there. So once you started working with Newman Springs, your publisher, and you started that publishing process, Regina, what did you find the most challenging aspect of that?
A lot of the minor technicalities. Very, very, all things I didn't know anything about. I had done a fair amount of grant writing, which again is very prescriptive. And I had, one font that I knew about. I didn't know about all these other fonts. I didn't know about, serif and this, that, and the other thing. And I guess my use of punctuation was actually very creative. I seemed to not use punctuation as I would have usually. And lack of periods and periods were something that I got some comments on. It was fascinating putting it together. Writing my narrative was easier, but also sort of, peculiar to write a narrative next to something that had been designated as poetry.
So after the years of hard work that you put into this, it was finally a real thing. Your first copy came in, you were holding Words on Water in your hands for the first time, Regina. What kind of a moment was that like for you?
Wow. It really, and Words on Water, but WOW, it all came together. Even one of the things that this commute I found was a great gift from the commute was the ability to see many daily magnificent sunrises. And depending upon my inclination to work on a timely basis, I could see sunsets too. I saw more sunrises than I saw sunsets. And the photograph on the cover was, I think, one of my favorite sunrises. And seeing it all come together was satisfying and exhilarating, actually.
What a beautiful book. Again, this is titled Words on Water, 2016 to 2020. It's written by Regina Olasin, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere, like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and also traditional brick-and-mortar stores.
Oh, Regina, it's been so nice talking with you tonight and learning about words on water. Thanks again for talking.
Well, thank you, Corey. It was a pleasure to have the opportunity. Take care. Be well.
There's a new exciting novel that's out there right now, written by Spradley. It's titled The Oaths We Keep. And we'll be talking all about it right now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. The author, Chad, is sitting right here with me. Chad, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I can't wait to find out all about the oaths we keep, Chad. Can you tell me what readers are going to get into here?
Oh, well, this is the third book in a series, starting with my first book, A Long Road to Redemption, followed by the second book, Memories and Remorse. The books are written in an episodic format, meaning, if you haven't read the first two, that's okay. You could just pick up anywhere you'd like in the series and, would just be just fine. It's kind of like watching Star Trek way back in the day. If you missed last week's episode, you can just pick up with the current week's episode. So,
Chad, what kinds of readers do you think would be really into it?
Anyone who likes cozy mysteries or a little bit on the darker side mysteries. It can be a little intense, following like a police procedural type thing. The lead character is a police detective and his partner, and basically they have a crime to solve. And so anyone who likes television shows like The Rookie or any kind of police procedural or cozy mystery would probably like this very well.
So where'd this all come from, Chad? Where'd the idea for this come from?
Back during the pandemic time, when I finally had time to sit and start writing, I got into mystery writing, and one of the things that I wanted to do originally was write in ways that were realistic, if not completely true crime. Something that, you could put a little bit of thought into and kind of lose yourself in the investigation. And it all started with, okay, so how do we write a good mystery yet still not get into the typical television tropes where, you've got a villain and they always have to confess at the end. I wanted to write things where, the good guys and the bad guys had to really engage in a lot of following through from the beginning to the end and in an intelligent and logical way.
So being your third book now, Chad, do you find this gets easier and easier as you go each time?
Oh, gosh, I don't know that it gets any easier, to be perfectly honest. It's always a challenge keeping things fresh, trying to not do the same things over and over again. And it's especially challenging when you've got other book series going as well. You don't want to have every book sounding exactly the same because you're dealing with different characters every time. And although the main character of Roger Taylor, who's my lead police investigator, is the same guy book to book, there's always got to be some kind of character arc, some kind of challenge, some kind of personal accomplishment or some kind of personal challenge that he has to overcome, whether it be from a situation in his life outside of work or if it's the villain, proposing a major obstacle to the resolution of the story. So it's a challenge to keep everything fresh and keep everything challenging for the readers. And so I don't know that it ever really gets easier.
So is writer's block, anything like that, ever a challenge you got to overcome?
On occasion, yeah. So what I do for it, I actually basically just have to tell my wife, hey, I have to go somewhere and get alone for a few minutes and try to take my mind off of the writing part. And usually that helps to refocus and, try to keep the creative vibe going. I've gone off for a day or two just kind of on my own, but here and there, and usually that'll help. But, sometimes trying to come up with that next, it's like where you want to go, but sometimes getting it out onto the paper is a little bit of a challenge. And it just takes up some time sometimes just to work through what's going on.
Well, what a great book. I think readers are going to love this and the whole series. Again, it's titled The Oaths We Keep. It's written by Spradley, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, and also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Chad, it's been great talking with you tonight. Thanks again for being here with me.
Hey, no problem. Thank you very much.
I'm looking at a collection of delicious cheesecake recipes that all incorporate liqueurs into their ingredient list. It's written by Boozey Bo, titled Bo's Boozey Cheesecakes. And we're talking all about it. Bo is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Bo, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, what an interesting book, Bo. Can you tell me all about this? What are readers going to find here?
Well, cheesecakes are kind of dull and boring. I mean, it's cream cheese and sugar. So I came up with this idea that I could flavor the cheesecake with lots of flavored liqueurs. And it just kind of grew into a mess of notes and notebooks and then into a book.
I love it. What's your background like with cheesecakes and everything? Are you a baker or a chef?
I'm a retired chef, yes. So cheesecakes are you always have to have cheesecake on the menu. And like I said, I just thought they were boring. I never cared for them. So I came up with a different idea for them.
So do you think this is a good book for other chefs, bakers, and people who are into this kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely.
So when it comes to writing and publishing and everything, is this all new to you, or do you have some experience in it?
I have zero experience. This is my first even attempt at a book, and it was actually my son's idea. I had so many pages of notes and ideas that he suggested I kind of organize it into a book. So that's what we did.
So being your first one, was this a long journey you were on, the writing and publishing and everything?
About 4 years. Yeah, it took about 4 years to get enough ideas to create the book. And I'm kind of sort of working on a second book.
So once you had these recipes all ready, that manuscript was ready to publish, and you started working with your publisher, Newman Springs. But what do you say is the most challenging part about that whole publishing end of things for you?
Anything involving a computer. Yeah, I called my son a lot. Yeah, I'm not very literate when it comes to all the new high-tech stuff. So that, for me, was a challenge. I think that was the most challenging thing for me.
But there's nothing like that finished product after all the time and work that you put into this. So, Bo, you opened up your mailbox and finally your first copy came in. You got to hold it in your hands. What was that like?
I really can't even describe what it was like. My heart almost fell out of my chest. I couldn't believe it. My mother would be so proud. My mother would be so proud. That's all I kept thinking. My mother never met a book she didn't read, and she would have just been over the moon about this.
So now that you're finally published, what's the most rewarding aspect of this all for you?
Other than the fact that it's finally over, it's been quite the journey. I don't know anybody that's a published author. So it's kind of, most people don't know a published author. And I'm the second one in my high school graduating class to get a book published. So, yeah, it's just cool. It's just a good feeling that it's a huge accomplishment.
I'm looking at it right now. I love this cover. How did that cover come about?
So my high school art teacher was related to me on my dad's side. And I reached out to his granddaughter, Sadie, and Sadie did it. Sadie and I had never met, so I sent her a picture of me, told her what I kind of had in my mind, and she nailed it. She nailed it. That cover, it looks a lot like me if you saw me, but not enough to where you could maybe pick me out of a lineup.
Well, I'm sure you learned a lot along the way of doing this. So, Bo, do you have any advice for all the aspiring authors who are listening to us right now?
Yeah, just keep at it, because honestly, I got this book finished, and I didn't know that I'd get it published. It's a process. Not a lot of books get published compared to the number that are submitted. So I say just keep at it and, pray on it and go with it. Follow your heart.
Well, Bo, a lot of the authors I've spoken with here over the years are also avid readers, it tends to be. Would you call yourself a big reader as well?
I'm not anymore because I'm so busy doing other things, but most of my life, yes, I was just like my mother. I never met a book I didn't read. I used to love to read, but, you get older, the eyesight thing, it's not as easy to read books now.
Well, I love this book. Again, it's titled Bo's Boozey Cheesecakes. It's written by Boozey Bo, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, also right down the street at your local bookshop. Bo, it's been really great talking with you tonight. Thanks again for coming on with me.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
The new book by Raquel Chears is an exploration of faith, purpose, and perseverance. It's titled Who Am I? Is Who I Am. Journey of a Woman Called Anna, a memoir. Raquel is here with me now, and we're going to talk all about this. Raquel, welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. It's so nice to be talking with you tonight.
Nice to talk to you.
I'm excited to learn all about Who Am I? Is Who I Am. Raquel, can you tell me what readers are going to get into here?
Well, you're going to get into a story about who you are. Now, this just happened to be my journey, but this story is about Prophet Anna. She has no real interest in the Bible except two things, is that she stayed in the temple and she told others about God. The thing about it is that's all you really know about her. And I felt like I was her. I did not know how I was her because it was really nothing about her, but I really felt that God called me to be her. So I was going through a lot of things, and all I knew was to write them down. What they meant, I did not know. And one day, God began to stir things within me like a clock. And I was like, oh, what do I do with this? And one day he said, publish. I did not know I was publishing anything. I did not know I was writing anything. All I knew was I was going through so much. Just write it down. Just write it down. And you're going to find out that when you read this book, whatever you're going through, he's going to tell you who you are based on what you're going through. And it sounds crazy, but this book actually talks to everybody who reads this book based on what they're going through. They're going to get answers to who they are in God.
It sounds like everybody's going to get something out of this. Raquel, when you were writing this, was there a specific reading audience that you were thinking of?
I think the audience that I was thinking about, because this happened for a long time, will be someone between 18 and 80, male and female. It does not matter whether you're in Christ or out of Christ at all. Everyone goes through identity. Why you're here, what you're going through, pieces of the puzzle, putting it together. It's for everyone who's in that developmental stage of asking, why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? Why was I born? Why should I even stay here? It's for everyone who's looking for who they are in life and in God. It doesn't matter your gender.
So, Raquel, is this your first published work, or do you have experience in this kind of thing?
First published work, no experience in it at all. I have written several other books that will be published hopefully next year, and I'm currently writing another one.
So once you started off on this, you're writing a lot, and then you put it up for publishing and doing that. Was this a long journey for you overall?
A very long journey. This book was written from experience, and it took 8 years to write. Every chapter is born from an experience. And from this experience that others will go through, it's a step-by-step what to experience, what to do in each stage. You're not out there by yourself. And when people write a book, it's not for themselves. It's for others. So this is a step-by-step journey. If you're going to go through hell, this is what you need to go through during that stage.
I'm looking at it right now, and this cover is really beautiful, Raquel. How did that all come about?
During the publishing of the book, you have to come up with a cover. And I came up in my mind with so many things to write. And in a blink of an eye, that cover came to mind, a micro millisecond. And I knew that's the title, and I knew that was the cover. He gave me the title and the cover. I didn't make any of those up. God gave me that cover.
Well, so many readers are going to get so much from this book. Again, it's titled, Who Am I? Is Who I Am. Journey of a Woman Called Anna, a memoir. It's written by Raquel Chears, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Raquel, it's been so wonderful talking with you tonight and learning a little bit about your story and about this book. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sitting down with me right now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, author Tina Charest. Tina, welcome. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Hello, and thank you very much, Corey. I appreciate it. And it's exciting. I'm glad to be here.
It's really exciting, especially because you have a new book out titled Let the Children Come to Me. So, Tina, can you tell me what readers are going to get into here?
Well, the book is about Let the Children Come to Me is based on a segment in the Bible where Jesus is speaking to a crowd and the children are trying to get to him and the adults are pushing them away, right? But I wanted to write this story based on the perspective of one of the children who is being pushed away. So it's a faith-based children's story about a little boy named Benjamin who is also disabled. He needs a crutch to walk because his feet don't work like the other children. So he feels small and unnoticed, maybe even unimportant. And when he hears that Jesus is coming to his village, he's heard about him and he struggles to get close through the crowd, but finds it very difficult and ends up discovering that Jesus not only sees him, but loves him deeply and welcomes him just as he is. And of course, Jesus says, whoa, don't push him away. Let the children come to me. And then he has this encounter, a personal encounter with him.
It's a great story. How did the idea for this come about?
Basically, I was sitting at church on Sunday, and the gospel reading happened to be about this particular segment, right, of the Gospels. And so I went home that afternoon, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to see it from the perspective of a child who is being pushed away and what they go through? And I literally wrote it that afternoon.
So this was a pretty quick writing process. What about that publishing thing? Was that a long journey for you?
The publishing thing was, I'd never done it before. It's my first book, so I was a little surprised, but the publishing company was great. I'm sure they're used to working with authors that don't know what they're doing, and they guided me every step of the way, and they told me that it will happen as quickly as possible as long as you respond on time. So every time I heard from it, I stopped what I was doing, and I just jumped on the next step. But yeah, it was a learning experience and very educational, and I enjoyed being part of every step. So it was fun. Even the illustrations, everything was just wonderful.
Yeah, the illustrations are so important in a book like this, so it's wonderful that happens smoothly, because often it can be tricky to get the artist to sort of see that vision that you've been seeing in your head all along. Right. And honestly, you give them a storyboard, and then they send you their draw up of the storyboard, and you point out, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for that. And they're very good about going back and forth with you. So it was fine. I'm an impatient person, so I wanted everything done yesterday, but honestly, it took several months, but I was very, very pleased with the outcome. I can't complain at all. And when it was finally a real thing, the first copy came in, you were holding this in your hands, Tina. What kind of moment was that like for you? Oh, I was so excited. I literally could not wipe the smile off my face. I just, ran to show my husband, and then I couldn't wait to post on Facebook, and I called and texted all my friends, and I took pictures of it. It was just so silly, really. But I was so excited, my first book. And it's amazing how the other thoughts just keep popping in your head at that point. Let alone marketing, right? I'm not much of a marketer, but it is so much fun and exciting. And I recommend anyone just doing this. Just doing this. If you have a thought and you want to get it out there, no matter what the topic is, just do it. Just do it and then see where it goes. So you're a published author now. It's official. What's the most rewarding aspect of it all for you, Tina? Probably the spiritual side of things. I really love the idea of finding a way to spread the love of Jesus to children in a unique way that would capture them in a way that they're not used to seeing. So in a picture book, it's just lovely to have a child sit down and look at it and ask questions and, read it to me again. And what does this picture mean? It's just, that is really, really rewarding for me. Of course, it's also for parents and grandparents and godparents and anyone raising a child in faith. What a wonderful story. Again, this book is titled, Let the Children Come to Me. It's written by Tina Charest and published by Covenant Books and available at places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also right down the street at your local bookshop. Tina, it's been really wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about your work. Thanks again for being here. Thank you, Corey. The new book by Tim Verbeke follows a young boy's journey to find his family's missing cow. And we're going to talk all about it. Tim is right here with me now. Tim, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm curious to find out about the Red House Farm Adventures, Tim. Can you tell me all about what readers are going to find here?
Well, it's an adventure I had when I lived on what was called the Red House Farm up in rural Michigan. The story's been on my heart for many, many years. I just had to let it out. So,
Tim, what sorts of readers did you have in mind for it?
Well, my dream is that it's read to the young children, bedtime, whatever, story time, and on up to 12 years old, where I think it's challenging enough for a young reader. And I also think it'd be good for a book report. I don't know why. I loved book reports when I was in school, and I think this one lends to an older child needing a book report to pick out different things in the book that are easy to identify.
So how did this all come about? What gave you this idea?
Well, this is a true story and a true happening that, like I said, has been on my heart for many years. I've wrote it in my mind many years, and I happen to have some downtime taking care of one of my brothers who is ill. And while I was spending time with him up in Michigan, we don't live up in Michigan now, but kind of just thought, it's time to write down the story. And it really worked well to do that at that time, to have that time to think and to remember the story.
So, Tim, is this all new to you, or do you have some experience in doing this?
It is new to me. I love adventure books. Clive Cussler, I love his books. So I love those kind of adventure books. I've tried to write down or make a story of an adventure. So I kind of mess around with that a little bit. But this story here, it just kept on my heart, and it was time to do it. No, I haven't wrote a book before. I wrote short stories, but not many published work.
So being your first major published work, Tim, was this a long journey from beginning to end, the writing and the publishing and everything?
Like I said, it's been in my heart for so long. When I sat down, we were with my brother for like 10 days. And it took me about that amount of time to write it, change things and to try to remember accurately what went on. And it was a great time of spending time with my brother and writing the story.
And the illustrations are so important in a book like this, Tim. Was that a smooth process for you?
It was actually smoother than I thought it was going to be. I'm not much of an artist. I was a little worried about that, but it went very smooth. I was very happy with the artistry and being able to change things. And it come to life then. When I just wrote it down, it was hard to picture what it was going to be like, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
And then that day came, it was finally real. You're holding that first copy in your hands and looking at it, Tim. What kind of a moment was that like for you?
That was like, wow. That was very nice. It was a decision I was glad I did. It was between writing a book and publishing it, between that and a classic 350 Honda 1974. And I'm glad I wrote the book. I'm going to get a lot more joy out of it. I love talking with people. Our dream is to have fun with it at farmers markets and such this summer in our hometown. And they have a bologna festival. I'm glad I'll be in there and see all my old friends and stuff. And so really enjoyed this process. And the book in hand was just great.
And a lot of time and hard work went into this. And, so now when you think about all that, Tim, what's the most rewarding aspect of all this for you?
I think just, I'm retired, and you kind of need something to do when you retire. You don't just want to do nothing. So I have a few hobbies that I do, but I thought, this is going to be one of the most fun ones. I love selling things. My brother was an auctioneer way back, and he challenged me. He says, well, if you learn how to auction, you can do some of my sales. That was so much fun.
I think readers are going to love this. Again, it's titled The Red House Farm Adventures, The Search for Missing Number 27. It's written by Tim Verbeke, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere. Places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Tim, it's been really fun talking with you tonight. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Well, thank you very much.
This book is a memoir of survival and faith. It's written by T.K. Lynn, and it's titled Lungs Like a Rock: How COVID Saved Me by Almost Killing Me. I get to find out all about this book. TK is right here with me now. TK, welcome to the show. I appreciate you joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I can't wait to find out more about Lungs Like a Rock, TK. Can you tell me what readers are going to find here?
Yeah, they're going to hear all about the story of when I had COVID, and I ended up on a ventilator for 6 months and a coma for 2, and some of the things that I had to endure during that process.
So what sorts of readers do you think this would really connect with?
I mean, really anybody who had a family member that was in the hospital from COVID or had lost somebody. And also because I got pulmonary fibrosis from it, it could even reach out to, anybody who's dealing with, breathing issues like pulmonary fibrosis.
TK, how did the idea come about to write your story and publish it?
Well, I really felt like people needed to hear what some of the hospital protocols were like whenever this was happening. I know it was a whole different beast. Nobody was really prepared for it, so everybody was kind of winging it. But some of the things that were happening, especially dealing with the nurses and the centers, was a little mind-blowing to me. I don't know. I guess I really want people to know, okay, whenever you have somebody in the hospital, they really need to have somebody there with them by their side that's going to be their advocate.
Wow, that's really important. So what does your writing background look like? Is this all new for you?
It is, yes. I mean, I've written poetry and I've written like little short stories, but I've never actually went through and published anything until now.
Wow, congratulations. So was this a long journey for you overall?
The writing process, it took me about a year. It took me a little bit longer, I think, than it should have because of the cognitive issues that I had because of not having the oxygen. So my brain is kind of sporadic. So it took me a little bit longer, I think, than it should have. So it was about a year in the process.
So then you got your manuscript done and you started working with your publisher, Christian Faith. TK, what would you say is the most challenging part of that whole publishing end of things for you?
I tell you, Christian Faith Publishing really made it very easy for me. They just kind of held my hand and walked me through the steps. So it really wasn't anything difficult at all about it. It was actually quite enjoyable.
Fantastic. Well, this is such a personal thing for you, TK, and I can only imagine what you were thinking and feeling whenever that first book came in, your first copy, you were holding it. It was a real thing. What was that moment like for you?
I cried. I sat there and kind of held the box of the books and opened it up and pulled one out. And I told myself, even if this does not go anywhere, I feel like I've accomplished something by doing this. And my words will always be out there, so my story's always going to be circulating somewhere, some way,
Yeah, your story's out there now for the world. So when you think about that, what's the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
My young son, who really didn't quite know what was happening at the time, nobody even told him I was in the hospital. He kind of thought that mommy just didn't love him anymore because I just disappeared. And he doesn't know the whole story of everything that happened. So the most rewarding part of this would be as he gets older, he can actually take the time to sit down and read this himself and get a better idea of what was going on and what had happened.
Well, TK, looking down the road, do you think you'll be maybe writing some more? Do you think you got some more books in you?
Actually, I am about ready to publish another one. It is the beginning story before COVID happened. So, yeah, I've done that one. I'm about ready to get that published. And I actually have a third one that I'm in the works with now, too.
So it's great when you're writing, you're getting it all out there, but sometimes it's challenging. You get writer's block, you just don't know what words are going to come out next. So did you have to deal with those kind of things?
I did. I would just kind of, as it would come to me, I would grab my phone and just start speaking some words onto my text so that way I could just kind of save what my thoughts were at the time. And then I would just go back and just start adding more to it.
Well, what an important book. I love the message. Again, it's titled Lungs Like a Rock, How COVID Saved Me by Almost Killing Me. It's written by T.K. Lynn, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere. Places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, also at traditional brick-and-mortar stores. TK, it's been so nice talking with you tonight, learning about your story and about this book. Thanks again for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This book is a year's worth of spiritual encouragement for believers both old and new. It's titled God Speaks Promise. It's written by Adrianne Pierson, and we get to talk all about it. Adrianne is right here with me now. Adrianne, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Yes, I'm looking forward to speaking with you about God Speaks Promise.
I'm looking forward to finding out all about that, Adrianne. So what are readers going to find here?
God Speaks Promise is a devotional for all readers of all ages. Each devotion includes a scripture verse with a personal reflection question. This devotional will encourage and inspire you. It lets God Speaks Promise into your life and put aside time with God each morning so you can lavish you with his love, strengthen your heart with courage, and comfort you with his peace. Read God Speaks Promise and allow the Holy Spirit to transform you as it touches the depths of your soul. No matter where you are in your walk with God, take it to heart. Words of this book will transform your life, and may your walk with God be strengthened each day.
Adrianne, how did this all come about? Where'd you get the idea to start on it?
I felt led by the Lord to remind people that God speaks promise into their life.
What does your writing background look like, Adrianne? Is this your first published work?
Yes, this is my first published work with Christian Faith Publishing.
So being your first one, was this a really long process overall, the writing and publishing and everything?
It did take a few years for me to work on writing my book and having it published.
So after all that time and hard work that you put into it, Adrianne, what was it like when you got that first copy in and you finally got to hold this book in your hands?
Well, I was happy and somewhat excited.
So now you're officially a published author. Your work is out there for the whole world. When you think about that, Adrianne, what's the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
For the readers to be encouraged and inspired when they read my book.
So looking down the road, do you think we're going to see some more from you?
Yes, I do have other ideas for another book.
Do you see it being along the lines of this first one, or are you exploring some other things?
This book is Shades of Glory. It's on how God protects us and brings us out of darkness into light. I like to write some testimony stories of veterans and what God did in their lives. Studies on Israel and America's history of God's protection in times of war.
Well, Adrianne, I'm looking at the book right now, and this is a beautiful cover. Was that a difficult sort of journey that you were on to figure out what the cover was going to look like?
I did work with Christian Faith Publishing, and they do have an excellent design team that was able to make a picture on the front cover there. They did great work.
Well, a lot of people who are listening to us right now are authors who are just starting out as well. Adrianne, do you have maybe some advice that you could throw out there for them?
Yes, I'd like to encourage them to go ahead and start working on their book. There's lots of publishing companies out there, and I'm so thankful that I was able to find Christian Faith Publishing to work with me on my book.
You know, once you get started on something like this, it's really hard if you're just doing it all by yourself, and maybe it's good if you have some people around you that can keep you encouraged and motivated along the way. Adrianne, do you have people like that in your life?
Yes, I am thankful to get started by writing down by hand and typing your book up onto the computer. And I do have some good friends that were able to spell check my book before sending it out to the publishing company, and just having their support and backing me up.
What a wonderful book. I think a lot of lives will be transformed by this. Again, it's titled God Speaks Promise. It's written by Adrianne Pierson, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere, places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Adrianne, it's been really wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about God Speaks Promise. Thanks again for being here.
Well, thank you again for speaking with me.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. We hope to see you back here every Friday night at 8 p.m. or listen anytime via podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, to name just a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.